What are some of the things that you most commonly catch? Is there anything that as you're going through title searches, what do you usually catch that's more common than not? Is there anything that stands out that you guys usually find in properties?
So, hi, we are brokers Rod and Melody Moser from Next Home Navigator. And with us today is Spencer Williams from On Record Title.
Thanks for having me on. So, Rod, you asked a great question. The number one thing is liens, just various types of liens. A lot of times, the second notes, the HELOCs, things like that can honestly be overlooked because oftentimes there aren't payments associated with those, and so they can get overlooked. And again, you're purchasing that property, you just can't take that risk on. And the nice thing about title insurance as well that many people don't realize is like this isn't like your auto policy where you've got $1,000 deductible or a $2,500 deductible. There's no deductible. You're covered. So the title company is basically saying, look, we have searched this property and we are comfortable giving you a policy to cover your butt in the event that we miss something. So liens is the most common thing. Another issue that we do see at times is where the property isn't properly reconveyed. And what that means is they didn't, uh, whoever did the transfer of title, perhaps didn't properly transfer ownership. And so what you can see it actually at times, unfortunately, it's not overly common, but you do see it every once in a while where you've got to go back. Us as a title company, we might have to go back and clean up a mess that's there where the old owner is still listed on title along with the new owners from or whenever that transaction took place. So we do see that it's not properly conveyed at times, but overwhelmingly what we see the most would be liens. And then going back to your point in a previous discussion would be judgments and tax debt against an individual. So we do see all of those things.
With a HELOC, if it's paid off, if it's at a zero balance, I could see that potentially getting overlooked, never getting released, and then somebody finds out they've got an open line of credit, starts to charge on it, and it's on their past house, and all of a sudden there's a lien covering a house that wasn't cleared. That would be an interesting thing. I know recently, in fact, last month, I think it might have been this month, you guys closed a property for us with 4 liens and 4 mortgages. So there were 8 encumbrances on a single family property. There's a divorce and a lot of crazy stuff going on, but yeah, you can see some pretty crazy stuff once in a while with title.
You guys, it is just one of those things that you don't want to mess with on your own.
Right.
It's not worth it. Yeah, we see, I mean, yeah, like you said, 8 different things, affecting the title of the property that need to be cleared. You want to have professionals clearing those. And again, we have to go back and clean up messes all the time where there is that HELOC that's still sitting, against the property. And maybe this buyer or this new owner is going either to sell the property or maybe to encumber it with the HELOC of their own. And so we do a title search and we notice that, gosh, well, there's still this HELOC that was in place from a previous owner. And so now the new, credit union, let's say that they're trying to get the new owners trying to get their HELOC through is like, nope, we can't do it until this is clear.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
A horror story. I'm sure that you've heard some.
Yeah. So in fact, we were talking about this just amongst our staff earlier today when we were
Tried to
kind
come
of,
up with the worst one, right?
yeah. So, well, I mean, there's a lot of bad ones. So this is an interesting case that one of our staff members had heard. So there was a for sale by owner situation where there were no realtors involved, and they wanted to take it a step further and think they're saving themselves money, and they wanted to record the deeds themselves. And so they, again, they think they're doing this. Oh, we're beating the system, right? We're saving ourselves all this money, and hey, we can give you a better price, Mr. Seller to Mr. Buyer, because we're not going to hire professional realtors. We're not going to hire the title company. So what ended up happening is it wasn't done properly. And in fact, just pulling up some of the notes because it was a wild little story. So they didn't have the title insurance that they needed, and then the buyers of that property ended up losing that home due to debts that were on the property from the previous owners.
Oh, no.
Brutal.
Oh, that's brutal. I did not expect that.
And I don't know what the debts were or anything, but there was enough debt on the property that eventually the collectors came to collect. My guess is it was federal, tax liens, things like that would, jump in front of a mortgage. But,
Yeah, like you said, the government's going to be first, and they're not going to be nice when it comes to getting their money, right? At that
I don't-
point.
So
I
many
don't
red
know.
flags. As
Oh,
I
yeah.
as I
so
think
many
about
red-
that, I'm like, there's probably a reason that the seller didn't want to go through a title company because they were aware of all the problems on their property and didn't want that to become a problem in the sale of the property. Wanted to make sure they could maximize their price. Trying to save a few dollars puts so much risk when you're buying a property or when you're, real estate has so many little implications to it. That seems like somebody should have hit the brakes at one point, but like I said, you see some pretty crazy stuff. We had one in Sugar House, and this was a couple of years ago, but there was a restriction, a deed restriction on the property that the property could never be sold to a family of color. I know we fixed all that, right? We fixed all that years and years ago so that there wasn't the discrimination, some of that stuff. But to find a deed restriction actually recorded on a title on the title of a home that would prevent it from being sold to a minority family or something like that, it was pretty crazy, pretty weird to see. But yeah, there's you can do a lot with real estate that can cause a lot of problems down the road.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting story, and obviously that sucks. We have seen that in CCNRs, HOA documents that where you've seen some of that kind of racist language from forever ago, and it was just never changed. So yeah, you never know what you're gonna find on title, but I promise that you don't want to find something after the fact.
After you own it. Right.
Amen. Oh, so good. Good stuff.
That is great. Thank you so much for your insight and for taking time with us today.
It's hey, my pleasure. Thank you guys. Keep rocking along, doing what you're doing. You guys are awesome.
We'll keep them coming, man. Thank you.
What's the best way that our audience can reach you?
Yeah, thank you. OnRecordTitle.com. We've got
Okay.
all of our contact information on there. OnRecordTitle.com.
And we'll actually put that in the description as well. And so when you have questions about real estate, contact us. We are earning the right to be your real estate resource for life.